Counter-Strike 2 SMG Guide. Every SMG is built for mobility and short distance gunfights, but each gun has something that makes it unique. I'll go over strats for each SMG, and at the end, we'll go over strats that work for every SMG. Let's start with the MAC-10. The MAC-10 is the cheapest T-side SMG at $1,050. It's the go-to SMG for eco rushes because of its accuracy while moving, allowing you to stay on the move and catch enemies by surprise. It's not very good against armored enemies, but it can still work as long as you're with your team. Try to engage fights while strafing up close, and if you can, move side to side unpredictably. If you do have to engage at a distance, try to get near some cover, spray around the corner, then strafe back. The MAC-10 has a very simple recoil pattern that goes up to the left, so pull down to the right for the first 8-ish bullets. Past 8 bullets, the recoil is going to sway left to right, but not too crazy, staying very manageable. This recoil pattern really helps in those distant gunfights. A lot of the times, you could just send a spray from around the corner and get a lucky headshot, so don't think that you're limited to just rushing people with the MAC-10. The UMP is unique because it handles more like a rifle than all the other SMGs. Costing you $1,200, it has the slowest fire rate and smallest magazine size of all the SMGs, but with that comes low recoil, allowing you to engage in medium range fights competitively, but not often. The UMP actually has a higher base damage than the FAMAS and Khalil up close, and also has excellent armor penetration, making it a great weapon on eco rounds when you don't have enough for a rifle. To use the UMP effectively, get up close to the enemy and try to mix in one headshot with some body shots. Avoid playing super aggressive as you won't have enough ammo to comfortably deal with more than 2 enemies. It's much more safe to play up close near choke points you know the enemy is headed to, like Boiler Room on Inferno. Here, you can switch between watching middle and apps from a comfortable distance, while also being able to retreat somewhat reliably when you need to reload. The MP9 is my favorite SMG on CT side. At just $1,250, only $50 more than the UMP, you get what is essentially a MAC-10 with more range, faster fire rate, and better recoil pattern. Play with the MP9 how you would with the MAC-10. With the added benefit of range, you'll be able to get some sneaky kills and run back to cover before the enemy has a chance to react. Always try to be running around when engaging in gunfights within 10 to 15 meters, and when you need to, some crouch burst firing will get the job done past that range. The MP7 is an awkward SMG to compare to anything. It for some reason has the slowest movement speed of all the SMGs with no traits to make up for it. It has slightly worse range than the MP9, the same number of shots to kill as the MP5, and is less accurate. It's just a basic SMG that has an easy to control recoil pattern, but the rest of the SMGs have easy patterns too, rendering this weapon obsolete in most situations. If you are going to use it, stay in close to medium range and go for headshots. With the slow strafe speed, you'll want to counter strafe more often than strafe shoot, as you won't be able to return to cover as quickly. The MP5 has similar traits to the MP7 with the added benefit of a suppressor. You also aren't burdened with the slow movement speed and have better recoil control than the MP7. Another reason not to fucking buy it. Having a suppressor makes a huge difference when flanking, making that the primary reason to buy an MP5. The strat with the MP5 is to try to get a flank or take enemies by surprise by playing up close and in unsuspecting areas around the map. And with good recoil control movement, you can switch to typical SMG gameplay once you're found, or if stealth isn't the best option at the moment. The PP has a very large magazine size for only $1,400, and with that large magazine size, you would think that it would have a long reload time, but its reload time is surprisingly average, as well as its movement speed. Where the PP does lack is in its damage output. The PP has the same fire rate as the MP7 and the MP5, but does less damage. The PP is quite ineffective in medium range fights, making it, in my opinion, an obsolete choice. I should say now that when I say obsolete, I don't mean the weapon is unusable, I mean that there are other weapons that can do this weapon's job, and that you might want to choose those better weapons when playing in harder lobbies. Now, if you choose to wield a PP, you should always be up close and spraying for headshots. That's the most effective way you can use this weapon. And since the magazine is so large, if an enemy runs out of ammo while fighting you, you'll almost always have enough ammo to go in and finish them off. The P90 on paper is the best SMG. The only problem with that is that it also costs $2,350, making it more expensive than both eco rifles, while also being the only SMG that gives a $300 kill reward instead of $600. This makes the P90 stand out as being the only viable buy round SMG option, but in higher levels of play, most players, myself included, would much rather use a rifle at that price point. Despite that, it still is a fantastic option. The recoil goes straight up and is perfect for up close sprays, making burst firing very effective at medium range. As long as you aren't challenging head glitches and ops, you'll find that the P90 does everything you want it to do. So with all the weapons out of the way, let's go over a few things that work with every SMG. You're going to want to be strafing a lot, especially up close, to capitalize on the faster movement speed and better running accuracy than all the rifles. Even the MP7, with the worst movement speed out of all the SMGs, still moves faster than the rifles and is more accurate while moving. So just get a feel for the gun and find out how you should be moving with it. If you have to fight someone past your SMG's best range, you want to run in and out of cover and go for headshots. When it's long range, which for SMGs is not that far, you'll either have to run away or crouch fire burst. Remember that with SMGs, you'll be the most viable when you're up close, but you would be even more viable with an assault rifle. Always be looking to trade out your SMG for an assault rifle when it is safe to do so. The only SMG you might not drop is the P90, since it's $12,350. You would not want to trade it for a Galil or a FAMAS unless no one on your team could bear to use the P90. Lastly, when you use SMGs, use your movement and get creative. SMGs have good accuracy while moving, but also jumping, especially the MP9 and the MAC-10. I have a lot of fun with SMGs simply from the freedom of movement, and you'll have fun too. Relax, run and gun, and always control for recoil. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.